Hello everyone, my name is Emilia from Couch English, a channel dedicated to practical business English. If you already follow us, you know that we're mainly talking about different kind of practical business aspects. Some of them they are related to my own area, so to the human resources area. But apart from that, we are also discussing different kind of business trends, combining in fact embracing your practical knowledge of business together with all the typical business English vocabulary. I'm going to concentrate today on another aspect connected with my area, so human resources again. Last time I was mentioning already about the trend which is called quiet quitting. And today I'm going to relate a little bit more to continuation of that trend, so to quiet hiring. And how about the differences and similarities between those two particular trends? If it is about quiet quitting, that's the situation that we have been facing already for several years. If we're talking about the current, even global market, and especially during and after pandemic, it is the trend which is more and more visible from the point of view of business and companies. Quiet quitting results in the situation when employees do not go beyond their standard scope of responsibilities or standard roles. It would mean that in practice, if the company is going to have any specific need, there will be some additional task to be done. There will be the backup needed for somebody who is currently absent in the organization, in the team. Or if the company wants to initiate some new project, so generally introduce some new initiative, or just manage the situation that business continuity has to be handled, it would mean that the organization would need additional resources. And it would be probably quite typical and natural that if, for example, somebody is currently on sick leave, let's say, another person from the team would replace that missing person. Or if there is a situation from the point of view of the team that some additional task has to be done, some project has to be initiated, or the employees have to stay overtime, it would be done also by those internal resources of the organization. But on the other hand, if we have that kind of the situation that not everybody is willing, for example, to stay in the company and work overtime, which is also okay, of course, from the point of view of employer and employee as well. Or if somebody is not interested to deliver more than is expected from their role, or if somebody doesn't want to go beyond their scope of responsibility, so somebody wants to be concentrated only on their traditional standard scope of the responsibilities, and at the same time the company has all those specific needs, well, something has to happen, because otherwise we would meet that kind of the situation that employees are working on the regular performance. They are performing, they are executing their standard tasks, and the company has either some specific or unique or immediate needs which have to be managed. So in that kind of the situation, we can introduce quiet hiring, which means that we can introduce the situation where we are not going to employ one additional headcount, one additional FTE, so one additional person, full-time employee for those specific or immediate needs, but we will need to manage that situation. So this additional working time, the situation when we need the backup, the situation when we have some additional tasks or project, we need to manage it somehow, either internally or externally. If it happens that, for example, I will have a situation that right now in my department, so let's say in human resources department, I want to introduce some project. And normally, maybe I will do it this way, that I will just separate and divide the tasks, and I would assign each of the tasks to one of my employees, and I would just do it naturally. Right now, I know that there are some employees in my organization. In fact, I should have known that long time ago, but right now we are talking simply about this trend. So right now, probably I'm already aware as the manager that there will be some employees who would not take all these responsibilities, I mean, these additional ones connected with the project. So probably what I have to do is that I have to have a look. I have to check who from my employees is ready to take all those additional responsibilities connected with projects. If still I have some employees I'm going to miss some capacity, what I can do is that I'm going beyond my team. I'm going to have a look and I'm going to check who from the other departments is available and ready, of course, because that's important, to participate in my project. And it will be about quiet hiring. So I'm not going to employ any additional person, like one full FTE from the market or even internally in the company. I'm not going to move to rotate somebody on a regular basis to my department, but I'm just going to look for some additional resources. Which means that, for example, if I know that I need for that project, let's say 10 hours per day, I will have a look. Okay, I have in my team few people who are ready to dedicate their working time or the additional working time to that project. So I already have, let's say, 6 hours from my team to dedicate to that project. So I need 10 hours. I have 6 hours. So I still need four remaining hours from the other teams, from the other employees, the ones who would like to also participate in my project. And then I will talk probably with other employees. I will talk with other managers and ask them, are you ready to dedicate to me 4 additional hours or 4 hours of your regular working time to my project? If the answer is yes, because maybe right now somebody is not so loaded, somebody doesn't have so much work, and really they can find these 4 additional hours, okay, they're going to move to me and they will dedicate their time to my project. So it will be about quiet hiring. I'm not going again to employ full FTE, one additional person, either internally or externally, but I'm just having a look where I have some free slots, where I have some capacity from people either from my team or other departments who can dedicate their time, their effort, their skills and competences to my project, to backups, and so on. And if we're talking about quiet hiring, it can be connected with both situations. So either I'm creating some internal opportunities for me as a company or also for the employees because that's important, or I'm looking externally because I know that internally I do not have any free resources. If it is about that internal possibility, so the situation which I mentioned, I'm checking inside of my department who is available, who is ready, who wants to, of course, participate in the project. I'm checking outside of my team in the organization. It is the situation where I think I would have twofold benefits because on one hand, as a company, what happens to me is that I don't have to organize recruitment. I don't have, for example, to employ any kind of freelancer, contractor, somebody who is going to come to my organization from the outside, but I can just check who is involved or who is ready to be involved internally, and I'm minimizing the time dedicated to preparing that person to participate in my project. So for me as business, this quiet hiring, especially if we're talking about internal resources, is very beneficial because I'm minimizing the time spent on preparation. And if I have any specific, any immediate business need, I just have people who are ready to jump from project to project, from task to task, because they have those free slots. At the same time, it can happen that internally in the organization, I don't have anybody who is either willing or who is ready or who has some free capacity to dedicate their time, their effort, and their skills to my project. And then what I do, again, I'm calculating, I need 10 hours per week for this additional project. So again, there is no sense to employ somebody from the market on a full-time employment. So I start probably thinking what I can do in that kind of the situation. And my thought is that maybe I can think about some freelancer. So somebody who can probably have like a lot of different kind of the clients, and I'm just going to be one of them. And this person working as a freelancer can dedicate this 10 additional hours of their time to my project. Or I can have another thought, because I remember that I used to collaborate with somebody in HR department who left the company some time ago. So that person would be like my ex-employee, my alumni. But because of the fact that I'm in good relations with that person, I can probably just call that person and ask, does he or she have that additional time 10 hours of the free time, despite the fact that they work in some different organization, do they have that free time to dedicate it to me? And if that's okay with them, I can also ask them for support. So that's how I'm going to use also these external possibilities. So both these situations bring me as a business a lot of benefits, because I'm going to have face that kind of the situation where that project or some additional task or some additional timing which has to be dedicated to my business to keep the business going is going to be covered by internal or external resources. From the employee point of view, I would say that of course internal resources, they are much more valuable, because if we imagine such a situation that we have this quiet hiring inside of the organization, it is a huge possibility for employees just to develop, I would say even both professionally but also personally. Because what can happen is that I have this project in HR, and I know that somewhere in the whole HR area, I have right now the person who works as a recruiter. And generally, on a daily basis, this person is executing, performing recruitment processes. And right now, I need somebody who is going to be involved in some additional employer branding process or some kind of the project. So what I do is that I'm checking right now in all HR area that there is that person who works in recruitment. I already talked with that person some time ago, or of course I did some kind of competency analysis. I did some kind of potential analysis, and I know that this person would love to work on something more apart from recruitment. So what I do is that I'm talking with that person and inviting that person to my project. That person knows that okay, they either have spare time or they are willing, for example, to dedicate the overtime to participate in that project. Or I also know that in the whole organization, there are few people in different departments, maybe in marketing department, sales department, finance department, different kind of departments. There are people who would like to do something more. Of course, they normally on a daily basis, they execute their scope of responsibilities, working in marketing, sales, and finance, but they need something more. They would like to reskill, they would like to upskill, they would like just to acquire a bit more knowledge maybe and practical experience in different kind of the areas. So what I do is that I announce that right now I'm having that kind of the project, that additional possibility, and people from different kind of areas, if only they want, they are ready, they can participate in that additional project. So from the employee point of view, it's a great possibility just to develop, just to go beyond the, let's say, standard routine, maybe sometimes even monotonous scope of responsibilities, and do something additional. So for the company, business continuity; for the employees, development opportunities. If we are talking also, of course, also about that situation with quiet hiring, what is important, and this time I will combine a little bit business trends and also business English vocabulary, is that we can meet in case of employees development something what is called job or task stretching and enriching the roles. It means that, for example, I lately employed the person as the recruiter. So this person whom I was mentioning a moment ago, and I know that this is the junior person. That's the person who is right now learning about recruitment, about sourcing, about different kind of the tasks connected with recruitment. And at the same time, I already know that I would like in a moment to work on that employer branding strategy and employer branding project. But still, my decision is that I'm inviting this recruiter to my project because I know that this person wants to. This person wants to acquire some new knowledge, new responsibilities, wants generally to develop in the organization and in the role and beyond the role. So what I do is that I'm stretching that role. So I'm not only offering to that person the recruitment responsibilities, but I'm offering something more, which is right now beyond the capacity and even competences of that person. But that person is also ready to take it on them. So stretching the role, stretching the task means that I'm assigning to somebody the task, the project which is beyond their current capacity, competences. But as the person is willing to do it, of course, I would offer something like that. If it is about enriching the role, that's very similar, because to that standard routine, scope of the responsibilities. I'm just adding something more attractive, something more interesting, which is going to provide that kind of the feeling that somebody's developing, somebody's reaching some new areas. So there is a very slight difference between stretching and enriching, because stretching would mean that for now the person doesn't have competences or doesn't have the proper capacity, but I know and I believe that this person can do it. And enriching, the person has competences, has the potential, and has the proper capacity. So I'm just adding something additional. So very often it is very, very strongly connected. And of course, as the company or as a leader, I should be aware that if I want to introduce that quiet quitting, I should be, in fact, quite well prepared to that. Because if I'm not going to be very transparent in the whole organization, what projects, what initiatives, what possibilities the companies offer to the employees so that they could develop beyond their standard scope of responsibilities, well, nothing will happen, because maybe I will still have this employer branding process or project, but nobody will know about it from other departments. So there will be no sense to do it. Or the other possibility is that unfortunately it can probably happen that I will have something additional, and I will even tell my employees that they can participate as recruiters, for example, in that employer branding initiative, but simply I will not tell them clearly how they can develop through that. So I will not tell them what kind of competences they already have and what kind of competences they will develop because of this employer branding project. Or I will not tell them what kind of responsibilities and tasks they are going to participate in. Or I will not tell them why we do that kind of the project. So simply my communication is not going to be clear. And because of that, somebody will think, okay, so I'm just doing some additional task. Will I get for that some overtime pay or not? I don't know. Okay, so I don't see any point to participate in that. So as long as I'm not going to be clear, I'm not going to show the vision, I'm not going to even compare what competences somebody is going to develop, well, then there is no sense to talk about it. And the other thing is that I have to be sure that somebody who is going to participate in that employer branding project is not only willing to do it, but also has a proper potential. Because what could happen is that unfortunately, I can have some like wrong thinking, wrong understanding of somebody's potential and possibilities. And I will take that person from the recruitment department or recruitment area to my employer branding project. But at the same time, I will know I need people to that project who have very high level of creativity. And it will occur that this person from the recruitment department doesn't unfortunately even have the potential to be creative. And then it will be difficult because that person will not feel probably proper in that project. I will feel that, okay, that was a wrong choice. This person is not performing these new tasks. So, well, that's a failure. So I need to concentrate on clarity of information. So I have to be sure that I'm going to be very precise if it is about all the possibilities which I can offer in the company from the point of view of these additional involvements. I have to be sure that I'm going to be very clear if it is about the requirements. So whom I need for the purpose of this project, how these people are going to benefit. I need to check if they are willing, of course, to participate in all those additional initiatives. And I would say that there is one more extremely important thing that we forget about. It's about timing. Because it can happen that there will be people in the company who are very ambitious. They are striving to development. They would love to acquire some new skills, new competences, new knowledge. But right now, if we're talking about their current scope of responsibilities and their performance, they are really, really very strongly involved. They dedicate a lot of time, a lot of effort. Maybe right now they're already working overtime. So even if I want to invite them to some additional project responsibilities, if I want to ask them to back up somebody who is absent, they don't have time, they don't have power, energy, and they simply don't have any free resources to be able to do it. And it is something really, really important from the point of view of, I wouldn't say the leadership, even say quiet hiring. It's something important in business. But we shouldn't be surprised that employees are not participating eagerly in some development opportunities. We shouldn't be surprised that they don't want to, for example, cover their peer who is right now on sick leave if they don't have power, if they don't have energy, if they don't have any spare time to be dedicated. So the more we want to concentrate on quiet hiring, the more we have to remember about that. If it occurs that we will see, okay, there is this immediate business need that has to be covered, and unfortunately, internally in the company, we don't have any spare resources, then quiet hiring is still about these external ones. And then I'm just taking the list of my ex-employees, I'm taking the list of, for example, some freelancers, and I'm inviting them to that temporary collaboration. And that's about combination of quiet quitting, quiet hiring. I hope that you liked that kind of the topic. If you're interested in more, of course, as usually, I'm inviting you to subscribe our channel with different kind of the topics. Some of them related to HR, some of them related to business, different various practical topics and trends. Thank you very much.